Hey! Welcome to this video that is definitely not going to piss people off. My name is Nathalie and I have opinions, just like you have opinions. And in this video I will rate Disney Dreamlight Valley's DLC and main story according to my opinion. In this wonderful world of diversity, you don't have to agree with my opinion. You don't even have to agree with my reasons as to how I came to those opinions. Instead of writing a strong worded comment on why my opinion sucks, in your opinion, you can simply write down your own list. Try it, it's fun. If I dislike something, it doesn't mean you can't enjoy it. This is just meant to be a silly little video meant to bring some fun. If you feel the need to hate me based on an opinion, then maybe it's time to close the video, shut down your device, and go outside. It's just an opinion. Now that the word opinion has been thrown around enough, let's actually start with the fun part. With Wish Blossom Ranch releasing this year, actually about a month ago, we're now up to 3 DLCs for Disney Dreamlight Valley. And I thought to myself, now is the good time to make a ranking video. Because the new year has started, and apparently I want to start it off with random people in the comments telling me I'm stupid for not loving the same things they love. I'm kidding. I rarely get any comments or views. Disclaimer, none of the opinions voiced in this video are meant to be hate towards the developers. I love the game. Sometimes I'm just a little frustrated with things, and because I want this game to be even greater than it currently is, I feel like giving feedback and voicing our opinions is one way to keep this community alive and growing. Silencing people for opinions you do not agree with will only kill a fandom, poisoning it from within. So take all these opinions in here with a pinch of salt. Let's get into the ranking, shall we? Anyway, I'm going to rank the DLCs and the main story in a few categories. First, the main story. Second, the fullness. I will explain that when we get to the category. Third, decorating items. Fourth, features. And fifth category is the map. Also, spoilers obviously for all the main stories and everything. First category is the main story. For this category I take into consideration how fulfilled I felt after the main story of each DLC and the main game came to a conclusion. This category isn't focused on personal quests of individual villages, but they are taken into account if they help the main story move along or give shape. For number 4. For me, it's Wish Blossom Ranch. Ooh, yes, I know. The latest DLC ranks lowest on this first category. Why? Because I felt like it was lackluster and boring, and a copy of the main story to boot. For this DLC, they chose to release the full story upon the release, whereas before we got updates throughout the year and had to wait to see the conclusion of a DLC story. I don't think this worked in their favor in this instance. When I got into the last part of the main story's quest and I discovered that the wishes were drying up because of us, the player, I felt bored. This was the exact same reason they gave for the forgetting happening in the main story. We forgot or gave up on something that was once dear to us, and now the imagination world around us is falling apart. How original. To me, this felt like a lazy reason and was a simple rehash from what they had already done in the main story. And because it's a Disney game, we all knew it was going to end up well. What I was missing was the urgency to fight back. I didn't feel like Wish Blossom Ranch was in any danger at all. In our main valley, we still have Nightthorn sprouting everywhere. In Wish Blossom Ranch, we only got some red crystals when the quest called for it. Not having that urgency made it feel like I could focus on decorating and befriending the new villagers, rather than dealing with the spreading disease that was supposed to actively threaten Wish Blossom Ranch. As story-wise, that just doesn't work. Also, the villagers' quests were more focused on each other than they were on the main plot. I simply feel like other DLCs did it better. The number 3 spot for me goes to Storybook Vale. This DLC would have been one step higher if they hadn't nerfed Maleficent and Hades at the end of the story. Holy moly, this DLC is my favorite overall. I love walking around in this world and it's easily the one where I spend most of my time. When I look at the main story, I love how they had small dungeons we had to get through, but they lacked challenge and were a little too easy to me. There were many corridors and hallways to explore, but at the end of them, there wasn't too much going on. The story kind of made up for that towards the end. Getting to Aurora was a challenge with puzzles that made me stop and think for a second. And yes, I can't pronounce the name of the princess. It sucks. And having to work our way up to the big evils was a smart play. Personally, I don't think the big bad should be easily accessible. Maleficent hung over her head like a dark cloud, like she was always looming, and she was this big threat to the entire DLC's world. But Hades, he was there early on with all this chaos and erratic behavior. I feel like they perfectly balanced each other out. His personal quests felt so in character. He's easily one of my favorites of the game overall. The rivalry between Merida and Flynn was a fun twist, with them behaving like squabbling siblings. Aurora's quests were forgettable to me, and neither can I remember Maleficent's quests. That isn't meant to say they were bad, just that I can't remember what they were. I would have to look them up, so they were pretty forgettable to me. What I loathe about this story, the nerfing of Hades and Maleficent. By wiping their memories, it feels like they are too kind almost now, as they are. They were so close, and rightfully so. It's getting a little boring to me that the good guys always win. What I would love is a DLC where the main bad has already won when we enter the story. They are already in charge. Give us back the updates throughout the year and let the main bad rule for a bit. Make me feel what life would be like under their rule. Make me discover why it's bad instead of telling me why it's bad. That could have been a fun twist here, but it all sort of fell flat for me towards the end, while the build-up was great. It truly felt like we could lose this battle, and I think we can use something like that instead of the constant happily ever after. The second spot goes to the main story. The main story happening in the valley, where we discover who the Forgotten is, why the forgetting happened in the first place. This was definitely a great twist when the game first released. That's why it ranks above Wish Blossom Ranch's story for me. It did it first and it did it well. From the get-go, there was this feeling of urgency. Night thorns are growing everywhere, villagers don't remember who we are. The forgetting is so bad, we have to unlock biomes to rescue villagers. We have to dive into mirror worlds to rescue our old friends. And after that, the villagers all have quests that make it feel like they truly have to find their footing in this world again. Even now, years later, with the release of 3 updates, it still feels realistic that they have some difficulty falling back into their old roles. The reason why it's not a number 1 for me? The ending felt a little too rushed to me. I was so impressed when we entered the end section of the main story, and yet I felt like it all happened too fast. When you look at it overall, the Forgotten was already showing signs of starting to doubt themselves, like they began to realize that this might not be the way to go, that the villagers might not deserve what they were doing to them. And all of a sudden, we are in that dark room with the spotlights and it's done. Yes, afterwards the Forgotten roamed the valley for months before we got another step in their story, but it felt so unfinished to me. Until we got Peter Pan, but that felt equally as rushed to me. And I still feel like we should be able to move to Forgotten's treehouse. It's in the way and it's huge. The number 1 spot actually goes to Eternity Isle. Are you surprised to find this DLC up here? I was when I was writing the script. This DLC will end up lower on some of the other categories, but story-wise, I was invested. I remember playing through the main story and thinking, they really stepped it up from the main story of the main game. There was a clear beginning, a clear middle and a clear ending that didn't make it feel like we nerfed Jafar. He still feels dangerous, like he can turn on us whenever he pleases. He's simply humoring us for the time being. The Cave of Wonders was brilliant. I was slightly on edge the entire time as I went through it. Am I going to get backstabbed? Who is following me in here? What am I going to find? One of the things I love most in games is exploration. That sense of adventure is what gets to me. And this DLC had plenty of that. Especially the area after we repaired the bridge to the extra cave system on the island. That twist where Jafar pretended to be Merlin and duped us. Brilliant. After that, the fight is still not done. We have to outsmart Jafar. It truly felt to me as if he could never let a guard down when working our way through the main story. Jafar was always one step ahead, working on his master plan. On top of that, the village's questlines helped us understand the world better. They truly felt as if they had been on their own for a long period of time. Just look at Gaston. Dude was not doing all too well when we found him. The only complaint I have, and it's a minor thing, is Oscar getting a voice. I loved the sounds we got at first. Category fullness. Let me explain what I mean by that. What I mean is, how complete does the world feel, and do I return because I love the world itself, or do I have to return to mine for items? Number 4. Eternity Isle. This DLC went from number 1 in the last category to number 4 in this one. Why? Because I have to force myself to return to this world. The world's design was great for the quests and giving off the feel of an abandoned island and back to be explored. But now that it's over, that was it. There are so many areas I feel like could still be explored and expanded upon, world building wise. For example, this area where we leave Ancient Landing and go into the crossing to the Tangled Woods or the desert. This could easily be a staircase leading down somewhere. Perhaps they could finally give us the Atlantis villages because the signs of old Atlantis are all around us on this island, any parts of our main valley. It felt like such a tease, and then they failed to deliver. Also, the areas in the desert where we can go down and then the road just ends. It would be so easy to lead us into 2 more caves. There's so much potential here that they did not utilize. Number 3. Wish Blossom Ranch. I still return here because I have some quests to finish and it's the latest DLC, so I am not finished decorating it yet. Which means I still return. But I think the same thing is going to happen to this world as it did for me in Eternity Isle. Once I'm finished decorating, I have no reason to return. There are no areas to explore, there is no hint of mystery, it just is. The world feels lackluster to me, maybe because it's not fully my vibe. I contemplated giving this DLC the 4th spot again, but contrary to Eternity Isle, there are no areas left where I feel like they could expand upon. They can give us more characters, sure, but they will come with future free updates, and we can move them into the area as always. Great! But as it stands on its own, it just is. What they could have done to elevate this, in my opinion, is give the horses reactions to their original friends. Why didn't Maximus respond when I brought him to see Flynn? Why does Khan not respond to Mulan or Mushu? And why did Kristoff tell us about Swen and then completely forgot about him after that questline was done? We were given reactions between Belle and the Beast after their small pact we got with their dancing scene, but they couldn't do the same for the horses? It makes me feel like we might get those reactions, but as paid packages rather than a part of the game, as they should have been. This is all speculation of course, but it reminds me of tactics done by the Sims team when they released cats and dogs, and months later, my first pet package, stuff package, with items that were definitely a part of the same set, furniture wise. But again, that's all speculation, but I can see them going that route, giving us separate packs for each horse to have a minor questline with their respective villages. While it makes sense to have included it in the main story for Wish Blossom Ranch, because the main story just feels so small and like it doesn't take long at all right now. And after you need them for their quests, it's done. Like sure, you can befriend them, but what's the point, really? What I'm saying is that their role could have been a lot bigger in this DLC. Number 2 spot, the Valley. Despite still getting free updates with new villages, I feel like this world is complete. We've discovered plenty of areas, helped the villagers settle in and continue to do so. Yet we don't need those characters to push the story forward. The story was finished to a satisfying degree. Satisfying enough at least. Still, it feels like the new characters move into the world naturally. And there are some areas they can still expand upon, like the Vitalist Mines. I fully expect the 7 dwarves to come in that way, which is why I've been decorating a part of the Sunlit Plateau to be ready for their arrival. Also, there are quite a few areas where they could give us entrances to different worlds or new areas if they so wished. For example, if they run out of docks they've been using for the DLCs, they could use some of the open endings in the Vitalist Mines to give us a new area with new docks. There are still options, yet it feels complete as it is. And number 1, Storybook Vale. After everything's settled in the main story and we save the day, it feels like the world is truly saved and, well, finished. Contrary to the 2 other DLC worlds, I visit this world regularly still, because I love the cozy vibe, I love how I decorated the areas even though it's not fully finished yet, and there's something so calming about the world itself. When I boot up the game, this is the world I wake up in, because to me, this is my main valley. The 3rd category, decorating items. Now, as the other 2 categories, this is also a purely personal list, because the things I love, you might not love. I didn't take into account shop items for this list or star paths. For the main story, I count the original items we got when the game was first released. This category is all about the items we can either craft or get through Scrooge's store to decorate our valley with. Number 4, the valley. The items we received at first were a lot of sleek, modern themed items. Yes, we also got some crates and wooden benches, but the items at Scrooge's store were mostly modern, and that is not my vibe. Great if it's yours, it's not mine. I didn't use any of them. While the dusty items we received when first returning to our house did match the vibe of a forgotten household, I don't use the items anymore. That's why this is in 4th place. Eternity Isle, number 3. Most of the items we are able to make, I still haven't made yet, because I don't like the time bending tool and because I don't see myself using most of the items that often. There are a few pieces I would still love to get to finish off rooms or houses, but I'm not in a rush to get them. They would be awesome if we ever get Atlantis villages, but so far I don't have an area where I feel like I need those items to decorate. Other than the ancient vacuum, I don't use any of the items of this DLC. But that item alone is such a huge plus, which makes it deserving of the 3rd place. Number 2, Storybook Vale. Easily my favorite DLC, and the items we got, especially in the Sleeping Beauty category, were beautiful. I regularly use these items in my builds because I love the cottagecore aesthetic. Also, it introduced the door with the staircase to us, which makes our houses feel so much homier and more organic. I used the snippet catching items as slowing down items when I still needed to catch them, but now that it's over, I uncrafted them. Because we are not getting more puzzles to make, so I have no need for them anymore. Yet I still enjoy decorating with the snippets. Also, this world feels so finished because of all the amazing storyboard items we received in Alice in Wonderland's category. A solid 10 out of 10. Number 1, Wish Blossom Ranch. The items we got here are amazing. It's a little bit higher than a solid 10 out of 10. The 3 very different feels of item sets is what gives this DLC the number 1 spot in this category for me. Do you want something more modern and fashionable? Cruella's got you covered. Do you want cottagecore? Some cutesy, something homey? Snow White has already designed it for you. And Tigger comes with fairy items that give prior Starpath items a proper home, and introduce some great new items that truly make it feel like you're a bug walking around a world that is much bigger than you. I may not love the story in this DLC, but the items are wonderful, and I will have a lot of fun decorating this world once I get around to it. And now to the 4th category, features. Throughout the main different storylines we are given new tools to use or horses to ride. So how do these rank in my opinion? Number 4, don't hate me for this, but I know you will, but it's Wish Blossom Ranch's horses. I know, a lot of you are so happy with their arrival. Just because I gave them the 4th spot doesn't mean I hate them. I think they are okay. I am simply not a horse girly. And since we already have fast travel and our own gliding skill, I don't feel like I truly need them in order to get around fast. Yes, riding them is sort of fun, but now that I've completed the main story, I don't feel like I will use them a lot. Especially not because I think their skill sets suck. That is the only bad thing I will say about the horses. Yes, the only skill that they can help out with that I find useful personally is the watering can, because it goes so much quicker. I just don't want to have to feed them all their free meals every day to get a small amount of time in which they can be really useful with digging and mining and stuff. It takes so long without feeding them to mine to dig. It's just not worth it to me. And honestly, they get in the way because I have to get off and then do my own thing. But you can use them. I don't want to use them. It's too slow. Especially not in my main valley, because I didn't account for them when I first built that, so I don't have enough room for them to walk around comfortably. Nathalie, you could just change your roads and redecorate. I don't want to, because I'm happy with the way it looks right now. Also, I was kind of bummed out we didn't get another tool. Of course, we got the horses instead, but I would have loved something I would continue to use. But I am happy for you lot, we are incredibly happy with this. Number 3 spot, Eternity Isle. Time bending is not my thing. The orbs hate decorators because I like to fill in my areas and you have to be able to get everywhere to use this tool comfortably. This is also the main reason as to why I still haven't built all the Eternity Isle items. Getting the items is such a pain in my rear while I already don't enjoy using this tool that I simply don't bother. Scramble coin though? I love it. The only complaint I have is that we are not getting more levels. I would have loved it if eventually we were able to get even more figurines of all our valley villages. And maybe a monthly tournament to participate in with our villages. That's why it's on the number 3 spot. I feel like they have to give us something to make the valley feel more alive and the villages like actual neighbors. Just like in Animal Crossing. Give us something to compete in. Like a tournament every month. Number 2 spot, Storybook Vale. Snippet catching. It was fun and became challenging when we encountered the faster snippets. I enjoyed doing this because it reminded me of bug catching in Animal Crossing, and that was one of the things I loved doing as a child. Putting up the game and catching and fishing for critters. This tool reminded me of that and I enjoyed hunting for the snippets I needed. Sometimes I would put up this game and put on a video in the back just to kick back and hunt around for a bit. Which was why I didn't really use the snippet machines we were able to build until I needed a few I could barely find. There was no rush and I just loved that sense of nostalgia I got. Number 1 spot this time goes to the valley. Our OG tools are top tier. They give us so much freedom in the world and allow us to interact with the world around us that I could not give the main valley this first spot. We can fish around, we can find jewels and get coal to use for cooking, we can help our crops blossom and our flowers to shine, and we can dig around. What is there not to love? Oh, and the camera that gives us moon points? I forgot what they were called, to buy new items. Can't forget about that. And the final category is the map. I looked at the overall map for this final category. How do I feel about the different biomes? The layout, the placement of rivers, how much room there is for decorating. Is it open? Is it narrow? Is it easy to navigate? Floating islands are not taken into account for this one. Number 4, Eternity Isle. While Eternity Isle has some open areas, mainly the desert area and the wild growth, it also feels so small and clunky at times, especially the dock area. I feel challenged when it comes to decorating, which can be a good thing, but I just don't love the world enough to really sit down and decorate. I've been trying to figure out what it is about this world that has kept me from finishing decorating here, but I simply think the world is good the way it is. I didn't feel like I needed to decorate it, and when I try, it feels forced. The areas are a little too small for me and feel too finished, if that makes sense. Like, it's an ancient place and I come in here to decorate it. Maybe I should make it a little more overgrown and that will help. But I'm just not feeling it with this map. I can't give you a better reason than that. It's pure vibes for this one. Number 3, the valley. Oof, yes, it's here. Ooh. Because of the unmovable ponds and unmovable buildings like Goffel's house and the tree house in the Forgotten Lands, it becomes harder to decorate. Which is partially a fun challenge, but it has made me irritated more often than it made me feel like it was a puzzle I needed to solve to work around it. Which is a shame because it is our main area in this game. On the other hand, there are a lot of open, wide spaces, which makes up for it. We got quite a few different areas with different feels to them, and the entire valley is small enough to traverse easily. There are so many wells that are so close together, and our glider is so fast, it doesn't make it feel overwhelmingly large while still being big enough for a lot of creativity to be unleashed. That being said, we definitely needed the floating islands, especially if you don't get DLCs, simply from the amount of villages we've gotten so far with free updates, and also with all the items from Star Paths. Number 2 spot, Storybook Vale. Originally, I had this DLC on the number 1 spot, but then I had to write why I love it so much, and it comes down to other categories I've already covered, so that was a little biased. And Wish Blossom Ranch absolutely deserves the first spot. Why Storybook Vale in the number 2? Because I adore the large, open fields we got in this DLC. The space was endless. There were many mountains to fence off the different areas, giving you a feel that this place was hewn from stone. The rivers feel a little scarce at times, they made way for a lot of land for decoration purposes. The land can sometimes feel a little too fast. I waited with decorating until I felt like I could avoid it no longer. Starting on such a large canvas can be very daunting, and it was to me. But now that I'm nearly finished with decorating every nook and cranny, I'm happy that we got that much space, especially considering all the large items we got with this DLC. And number 1 spot is for Wish Blossom Ranch. There are wide open spaces, there are narrow lanes, we have 3 very different biomes. One of which finally helped me give Anna, Kristoff and Olaf a permanent location to live at. I love the big snowy area because I've been struggling with decorating the frozen heights for so long. Also, give my girl Elsa a real home, not that cave, please, and thank you. There are no rivers in the way, there are no ponds in the way, there is more than enough variety in area sizes, and the biomes are so uniquely themselves that you can find something to love whichever style you prefer. Also, the hanging bridge in Cruella's area, beautiful addition. I love the bridges and elevated areas we got in this DLC. It makes the world feel so big while it's still rather small. All in all, I would say my overall ranking is number 4 Eternity Isle, because it's pretty much only had the main story going for it for me. Then number 3 is taken by the main valley, with the reason being it isn't as great for decorating and item wise, if you don't count all the Star Paths and shop items. On number 2 sits Wish Blossom Ranch. Yes, I didn't love the horses or the main story, but the decorations, the world map and the characters truly saved it for me. And on number 1 is Storybook Vale, but I feel like that is no surprise. Let me know how you would rank everything. If you've made it this far, thank you for taking the time. I think it's important that we can be critical of the games and media we consume. So, while I love Disney Dreamlight Valley, I simply feel like some things could be better, because I want this game to shine even brighter. And I feel like if they are given the time to do so, the developers can do even more amazing things. I would rather wait a little longer and have something amazing than have something pushed out as fast as it is now and it comes with glitches. Thank you for watching and I hope you have an amazing day. Goodbye!